Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our September meeting for the Grimsby Heritage Advisory Committee.
Recording stopped.
Recording stopped. And now we'll wait for that to continue.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so now we can move forward with our land acknowledgement. Niagara Region and Grimsby are situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The regional municipality of Niagara and the town of Grimsby stands with all Indigenous peoples, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Thank you. All right, we're moving on to, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing shakes of heads, so we will move on then to the agenda for tonight. Are we good with the agenda? Do I have a mover for our agenda this evening? We have Councillor Cristangi, and then we'll second it by Councillor DeFlavio. All in favor? That's carried. Awesome. Okay, so that's carried. And then we'll move on to the minutes. To the minutes for July 22nd was our last meeting. Wow, what a lifetime ago. So we reviewed the minutes. Do we have a mover for the minutes for this for July? So that's going to be moved by Brian, and a seconder. We'll have Amy do that. All in favor? Okay, that's carried then. Resolved that the Grimsby Heritage Advisory Committee minutes for July 22nd, 25 be received. And then we'll move on to our reports. So today's meeting will be lots of heritage permits. So we're going to begin with our heritage permit application for 390 Main Street West, and we have Garrett to give that presentation. So go ahead, Garrett, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, through you, Chair. The property at 390 Main Street West was designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act in 2023. The historic property occupies a large parcel of land on the north side of Main Street West. The historic dwelling was built in the late 19th century by John Henry Smith following his success in the California Gold Rush. A heritage permit was submitted for the property on July 23rd, 2025, and the application was subsequently deemed complete by staff. After an application has been deemed complete, the municipality has 90 days to provide a decision on the heritage permit application. The applicant has applied for a heritage permit to enable the permanent installation of a replica porch on the front facade of the historic building. A replica porch was recently designed and temporarily placed in front of the heritage building to enable filming to occur on the lands. The property owner would now like to obtain approval to permanently affix the replica porch to the front facade. The replica porch was built and designed to be as similar as possible to the original porch. This was achieved using historic documentation. This approach is considered best practice and is in keeping with the standards and guidelines for historic places in Canada. The addition of the porch would also not result in any adverse impacts to the cultural heritage value of the property. In summary, staff recommend that the heritage permit application for 390 Main Street West be recommended for approval. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Garrett. I see Councillor DeFlavio has your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, through you. A couple of questions. First of all, I drive by this every day, and I was excited when I saw the porch going up. I knew it was for filming. My concern is, for filming, because it's a replica, the quality of the materials that are used are not, they need to look good on film. They don't need to last a long time. So our heritage staff satisfied that the materials that were used are not just superficially that they just look good, that they are of substance and of value, that they can last for, for years to come?
Through you, Chair. Staff went and inspected the porch after it was constructed, and I believe the porch was built, was it 70% building code? Sure, yeah, Bianca will give her feedback from building.
Thank you, through the chair. I did talk with building, so I thought that might be helpful as well. So I did go on site and see the porch. I also wanted to know, because of the filming, that's why we weren't able to put the photos in the report. But yes, you can see it from the road. But yeah, so I was able to go up close and see it. They did use a lot of restored elements from other historic sites, so the profiles and things were very similar. So they did do that for the railings and stuff like that. And then they actually had to have it be structurally stable for someone to jump on top of it. So it ended up actually being over-designed, not a typical porch, because they knew there was going to be a lot of action happening on it. So they did say they actually over-designed it. But building has confirmed that an engineer has to look into this and make sure that they can stamp off on it and say that it's structurally secured. Right now it's temporarily affixed on existing metal railing, and then kind of sandwiched against the masonry. So adjustments will likely still need to be made to bring it up to code. So the idea is that we'll work with them still on the final pieces of it, but this will allow her to retain as much of the intact elements, and then if she has to upgrade things, she's okay with that, and we'll work with the engineer and building to make sure that it's structurally safe and will last and it's secured properly.
Thank you. So that's great, because that led to my next question, which was, what is our building department doing to ensure that the foundation, again, because for a film, what they need is different than what you need for years, to last for years. I mean, we've all seen those videos of film sets where it's just the facade of a building and what's behind it is cardboard. I want to make sure that it's structurally sound. So you're telling me that the building department will have to sign off on it. That makes me happy. You talked about attaching it to the masonry. What is the process to ensure that it doesn't do long-term damage to the historic masonry? Because the masonry on that building is a couple hundred years old. So, I'm sure there's best practice. What would that look like, just out of curiosity?
Through the chair, so typically that would go right into the masonry joints. So the idea is that you're not actually drilling into the masonry at all, and then all repairs or areas they need to fill in will be done with lime. But yeah, we have a lot of different connections that they can look at where they're just avoid permanently damaging the masonry altogether. Yeah.
Last thing, I do have concerns similar to one of the other applications today, that it's retroactive rather than coming in advance. I mean, I hate using the term precedent setting, because we deal with every application on a case-by-case basis, so I don't really think that anything's precedent setting, but I also don't want people to get the impression that they could do something and then come later and ask for permission. This is one of those cases where I think what they've done, I haven't been up close because I don't feel comfortable going up and looking at it, but superficially it looks beautiful. It looks like it's in keeping with good practices and all of those things. That being said, I do want to make it clear that this is not the way that we like to do things. And so if we know that there's filming occurring on a historic site, which I hope there's lots of that, I want to encourage that, but and people plan to make changes, we need to ensure that those changes are made in accordance with our bylaws, not coming back later and asking for permission or for forgiveness. So that's my last comment about that. And there's another one later on today where we have a similar situation with a deck that, again, I'm going to say the same thing, so I'm going to sound like a broken record. For you young kids, a broken record repeats.
Through the chair, I just wanted to add, the property owner here, she's been provincially designated for a long time, so she was very used to that process. She's pretty new to designation at the municipal level. So as soon as she was aware of this with filming, I guess it happened really quickly. And so we did our best to work with her. There was no permanent fixing to the building. It was going to be entirely temporary. And we weren't able to get it to Heritage Committee and to Council, but they did notify us as soon as they could, and it kind of gave us a 5-day turnaround. So we knew we were going to bring it to you right away. So we were aware of it. It's not ideal, but we didn't want to stop the filming for it. But in other cases, we do our best to communicate how important it is they talk to us first. And I think we'll talk about the other one later, but I know other community members that have been in this boat before, they're starting to come around and understand why they need to do it. So we have seen some improvement that way, but yeah, we're trying to be as proactive as possible, but sometimes we just catch it driving by, so, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor DeFlavio, for your very astute questions. Those were kind of my questions too, just about the quality of the porch and how it will be affixed to the building. So thank you for addressing that and for asking those questions from the building department as well. Any other questions from the committee on this? I think it's just also just worth saying, I appreciate that, they went back into the historical records, they found a porch that looked quite similar to what was there, or the original porch, and then they developed a porch that was quite similar. So I do appreciate that. If there's no other comments from the committee, then we can move forward to the resolution. The resolution here that report HR 2517 Heritage Permit Application for 390 Main Street West dated September 9th, 2025 be received, and that the committee recommends that the Heritage Permit application to permit a permanent affixing of a replica porch on the front facade of 390 Main Street West be approved with the following terms and conditions. A, that the final design and details associated with the installation of the replica porch be delegated to Heritage staff for approval. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor DeFlavio. And a seconder, Councillor Cristangi. And all in favor? All right, that looks like it carried. Fantastic.
I do want to add, Chair, if the owner of the house wants to give a private tour to the members of the committee, we can make time before one of our future meetings to go over there, because I love that stuff. And I haven't been in there in about 20 years. It was, Bianca mentioned that it was designated provincially, but I believe it's just the two rooms, the one with the big fireplace and another one. It's a neat house, and I'd love to see what's happened to it over the years. So, yeah, feel free to pass that on.
Yeah. I support that idea of a tour, always. Thank you. Oh, that's it, yes. Yes, a requirement of designation. Let us see your house. No, just kidding. Okay, let's move on then to our next report. We have another Heritage Permit application. This is for 130 Main Street East, and Garrett will give this presentation as well.
Thank you, through you, Chair. The property at 130 Main Street East, known as the Nels Balfour Danish House, was designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act in 2021. The property occupies the southwest corner of Main Street East and Nels Road South. The dwelling at 130 Main Street East was built in the 1880s by Walter Henry Nels. The large Italianate residence was designed by the Canadian architect James Balfour. Over time, the building evolved from a residence to an institutional use, and for many years was known as the Danish Lutheran Church. The building is currently occupied by the Greenbelt Academy Montessori School. A heritage permit application was submitted for the property on September 2nd, 2025. The applicant has applied to demolish a modern utility shed to the rear of the property. The shed is wood framed with plywood walls and a sloped roof finished with asphalt shingles, and is a very modern construction. In summary, staff recommend that the demolition request for 130 Main Street East be recommended for approval. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, Garrett. I think it's worth mentioning, 130 Main Street East. They've come in the past for retroactive heritage permits, so I think it's really good to see that our relationship with them has improved between the town and the property owner, and there's like an increased dialogue, and it's resulted in this permit coming through. So I did want to say kudos for that. And especially, like, it looks like the shed is quite modern. And not included as a heritage attribute. So again, thanking the property owner for taking the time to go through the proper steps, given it's clearly a modern construction. Any questions or comments from committee on this one? Okay, awesome. I'll move right forward to the resolution then. Resolved that report HR 2518 Heritage Permit Application for 130 Main Street East dated September 9th, 2025 be received, and that the committee recommends that the Heritage Permit Application for 130 Main Street East be recommended for approval. I'll need a mover. We have Amy. And a seconder. We have Councillor Kerstanji. And all in favor? Okay, that's carried. Awesome work. Thank you. Okay, next up is a heritage permit application for 2 5th Street, also presented by Garrett. Go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Chair. The property at 2 5th Street is known as Ilfracombe Lodge and was designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act in 2024. The property occupies a lakefront lot on the west side of 5th Street and is located within the historic Grimsby Beach area. The cottage at 2 5th Street was built in 1887 and is one of the original lakefront cottages that were built during the Grimsby Beach Chautauqua Methodist era. During this time, the cottages fronting the lake were known as Millionaire's Row. The 2024 Heritage Permit application that was approved by Council included requests to alter the exterior of the building, structural interventions to stabilize and secure the structure, and general plans for the restoration of the building, and any additional demolition of materials needed to facilitate the restoration. On September 2nd, 2025, staff received another Heritage Permit application seeking additional approvals to further facilitate the restoration and renovation of the cottage. The 2025 Heritage Permit application is including requests to construct an addition on the south facade of the building, so that would be opposite from the lake shore, and to install 2 additional glass curtain walls, which would be fronting onto 5th Street. Staff are supportive of the proposed addition to the dwelling, as the general scale and roof lines are in keeping with the addition that was in that location and had been demolished. The proposed roof style, which is in a shed slope style, will not impact the original window openings on the building, and the original windows are going to be restored. Additional efforts have been made to mitigate impacts made by the additions, which include retaining the original roof line on the rear of the home and using contrasting exterior cladding materials on the additions to help differentiate between the new and old construction of the cottage. The applicants are also seeking approval to install 2 glass curtain walls. These will be on the first and second floors. The glass curtain walls are going to be enclosing what were exterior porches to turn them into interior living space, but they will be minimally affecting the look of the porches on the cottage. Staff are supportive of this intervention. They find that it respects that form of the building while allowing the cottages to adapt to modern living and increase that usable floor space on the interior. In summary, staff recommend that the Heritage Permit application for 2 5th Street be recommended for approval, subject to terms and conditions that will help enable the restoration and repair of this culturally significant heritage resource. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Garrett. Are there any questions or comments from the committee on 2 5th? I'm just looking for clarification. You had like a photo up and it had like a zigzaggy. Can you just clarify what we're looking at in that illustration?
Through you, Chair, is that the bottom right image? Yeah, so that in green is highlighted what will be the new addition. So the addition will be on the main floor. That will create like a mudroom utility room space. And then the second floor will be for a bathroom addition. So they'll be altering the roof line on the cottage, kind of creating like a dormer that will overhang that main floor addition. But from the rear of the cottage, you'll still be able to see the original roof lines of the home. And in that location on the main floor, there was a small addition. You can see it in the bottom left-hand picture there. So they are respecting that original roof line form that was found on the building. And it's quite common in the Grimsby Beach neighborhood to find cottages that have had kind of ramble-in additions put on them. So staff feel like it's quite fitting for the design of the building. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for clarifying. I just wasn't quite sure what the zigzaggy was. So thank you for clarifying that for me. Okay. So it looks like we don't have any questions. You don't have any comments. We do have a question. Amy, go ahead.
Sorry, thank you through you, Chair. The curtain wall on the porch, is it going to, like, I understand the glass wall, but then are there still going to be the railings and the banister on the outside, or is that going to be eliminated by the wall?
Through you, Chair. The porches will be completely restored and the glass curtain walls will sit just in behind all the restored porch woodwork. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, if there's no other questions, then I can move forward to the resolution here. Resolved that report HR 2519, a heritage permit application for 2 5th Street dated September 9th, 2025 be received, and that the committee recommends that the heritage permit for 2 5th Street be recommended for approval subject to the following terms and conditions. A, that the conservation plan be updated to include the new proposed works, completed to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning, and that the exterior cladding of the new addition be in contrasting material to the original exterior cladding on the original cottage, and that the approval of any minor changes to the proposed restoration and renovation to the cottage be reflected in the conservation plan and delegated to staff for approval to reduce delays in the restoration before winter and snow loads on the temporarily stabilized building. Do I have a mover? We have Councillor Cristangi and a seconder. We have Amy. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Okay, next up is a heritage permit application for 262 Main Street West, and Bianca, will give that presentation.
Thank you, through you, the chair. So similar to what we discussed earlier, some of the items on this permit we noticed when we were doing our kind of overview we do of Main Street every so often, and so we did see that this new porch had been added, and we also received a demolition permit through the building department for the rear addition of the garage there, and then we also noticed that some of the original elements on the house were not there when we drove by, so we reached out to the property owner, and this application is a result of consultation with the property owner. So the property at 262 Main Street West, known as Nixon Hall, was designated under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act in 2004 by Bylaw 0470. The bylaw was recently amended in July and is now, the original bylaw is now amended by Bylaw 2533. Nixon Hall was built in 1854 by Dennis Nixon. It's a unique example of Gothic Revival architecture and is one of the largest and most decorated examples of the style within Grimsby. Dennis Nixon was a descendant of the United Empire Loyalists, played a key role in Grimsby's agricultural and historical development, including contributions to local infrastructure and agricultural societies. During the Second World War, the building was used as a hostel for farmerettes and later served as a temporary hospital. On September 2nd, 2025, staff received a heritage permit application for the approvals to demolish the garage addition to the rear of the dwelling and to retroactively approve the construction of the side porch on the west facade. The applicants also noted that they were restoring the front porch of the home and that they would be retaining as much of the original material as possible, and where required, making in-kind repairs. There was also a few pieces missing from the sides of the railing, so they'll be having those remade to match the original design. Staff recommend that the construction of the side porch be permitted. The deck provides access to an existing doorway that was previously not accessible. The applicant also confirmed that the posts were used to create the railings were salvaged from a veranda that had previously been on the property. We haven't yet seen a photo of this porch that used to be on the property. This is just information they've shared with us. During the designation bylaw amendment process, the house and the garage additions were exhaustively evaluated. During that review, staff did recommend that the garage not be included as an attribute within the bylaw due to lack of findings and no direct association with the property's statement of significance. During our site visit to review the garage during the bylaw amendment process, staff found that a portion of the wood frame garage did contain hand-hewn beams that were possibly as old. They possibly predated the addition that was put in 1869, which was a part of a renovation to the house. By 1934, the wooden garage addition had been renovated again and expanded to its current form. The hand-hewn materials comprise of 6 pairs of wooden rafters that have been incorporated into the current roofing system. The wooden addition also covers 2 brick window openings that were built in the masonry walls, so we can confirm that the garage was a later addition. During the analysis, staff were able to determine that we were unable to determine the origin of the materials or any association with the area's use. And as noted above, due to lack of additional findings and no impact on the property's statement of significance, staff recommend that the demolition be permitted, subject to the hand-hewn beams being salvaged from the roof system and reintegrated into the property. So in summary, staff recommend that the heritage permit at 262 Main Street West be recommended for approval, subject to terms and conditions. And those are on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca, for your presentation. Are there any questions or comments from the committee regarding this permit application? Yes, Brian, go ahead.
Through you, Chair. I have 3. I'll ask them. I'll let Bianca or Garrett respond after each one. I can ask them after that. But can you, first off, can you explain the significance of the hand-hewn beams? I was interested seeing those in there, but I admittedly don't know enough about those. But can you explain a little bit more why those are so significant?
Thank you, through you, Chair. The hand-hewn beams would have been materials that were prepped by hand, basically. You can see like axe marks along the edges of them, and they aren't squared like lumber would be if it was prepared at like a sawmill. So that usually helps like date the age of it. Again, when we were kind of assessing the garage, it was only those pairs of roof rafters that appeared to be from that period, and the rest of it was all modern, not modern, but like kind of early 1900s prepared lumber. And we didn't see any evidence of like wooden pegs or anything like that. So it was hard to tell if those were a part of a previous structure or repurposed from something else to help build the garage. We noted within the report too, this addition on the back of the home is also blocking 2 window openings that are original to the house. So we know that the addition was built after the house was constructed. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Bianca, you mentioned off the top that you noticed that there was elements removed. Can you restate what those elements that you noticed that were removed, and were they in the original application of the bylaw as designated aspects of the property?
Yes, through the chair. So the original elements that I noticed were missing was the camelback railing and like the sides of it as well. So under the Ontario Heritage Act, maintenance is allowed. So because they're currently at the shop being repaired, it doesn't technically require a permit, but he did share with me, or sorry, the property owner did share with me that they'd be making some in-kind repairs, but also was some areas that were just entirely missing. So I just recommended that he include it within the permit. But maintenance is encouraged. We just usually keep in touch with the property owners and make sure they come back. Yeah.
All right, through you, Chair. Last one. We've had a few retros, as Councillor noted earlier on. When these approvals go through as a retro, did they get noted as a retro approval, or did they get noted strictly as a approval as though they would have approached before any of the work was done?
Through the chair, so the approval, like in the report, we put it as a retroactive approval. Like we didn't put the garage as a retroactive approval because they didn't do it yet. So that's technically new, but we always put retroactive. And then like down the road, if say they were applying for the different applications, whether that be the grant, tax incentive, then they risk not getting that funding. But yeah, this is something that we're just like constantly telling property owners, just reach out to us ahead of time, like we're here to help you. And we've had two tonight that kind of have been a bit of a lesson learned and they're getting back used to the process. So yeah, that's basically, but we do put it as retroactive because that's what it was, yeah. And also I just wanted to know if like the committee said no and we said that it wasn't approved, then they would have to go through the process of taking that down. So it's not that it's guaranteed they're getting it, but it's, we try to work with them to see like if changes need to be made, how can we work with them? But yeah.
Great questions. Thank you, Brian. That was my kind of question too in regards to the retroactive approvals. Just will that be noted somewhere going forward, knowing that we now have more programs in place for homeowners heritage homeowners to access, and trying to be fair and upholding the procedures that we have in place for a reason. I have a couple questions or comments in terms of the side deck. I appreciate the thoughtfulness in this kind of in them using salvage materials, but I guess it just begs the question of like, if we don't know if we didn't see where the materials came from before, how do we know? And I guess this is just another reason of why having these permits done in the appropriate stage is important, because then you might have been able to see the materials first. And without photos, because that was my question, was like, well, do we have photos of this old veranda and these old materials being used? But we don't, so we kind of just have to go on their word. And it's a unique design, and I'm glad that they're also able to use their side deck, or their side door, which they weren't able to do before. So I did want to just kind of ask that, because how do we know that these are salvage materials, knowing that integrity does matter when it comes to these designated properties? But those are my questions, and I don't think you have an answer.
Through the chair, just I guess one best practice, of course, is like not based on it being like not 100%. Like we should, if we're going to be restoring things, it needs to be with certainty. That's best practice. So I think here we just need to weigh like, this isn't 100% what was there because we can't verify that. And sometimes you want to go with something period correct or something that would be appropriate for the area. And I think you just balance that with like, there's no permanent damage to the building. Like the porch can always be removed. So I guess just balancing that. But yes, ideally you would have some certainty before materials are put on the building, so that like the idea is that we're telling people this is a historic site, and you don't want to be misleading and people thinking, oh, that's an original porch, because there's other elements that we're celebrating that are original. So it's just kind of like balancing that and trying not to blur the lines between what's authentic, because people like to see what's authentic, and then have that balance with something modern. So I think that's a discussion we probably would have had if it was there. And now we're just considering, like, I guess, the impact of the significance of the site. Is it enough that we don't want to see it there, or is it something that we can kind of balance, I guess?
Thank you. Yes, I thank you for providing that extra context. And then for the garage, I do have a couple of questions too. First of all, like kind of cool seeing the detective work. Like again, this is why the permit application process is so important. You guys were able to go in and then see those hand-hewn beams and say, hey, we should probably keep these and salvage them. So that's really awesome. But I'm just curious about the garage, and knowing that it was added afterwards. Is there like an entrance into the house from the garage? Because I'm just curious about if they're demolishing the garage, are they planning to add something later on? Is there like an entrance that now doesn't have a door? Like, I'm just curious, was there an entrance into the house from the garage to get a sense of what could possibly come after?
Through the chair, I believe there is an entrance. I don't know exactly the layout. They didn't show that to us, but there is an entrance that, like, there's a door. I don't know if they're using it or not, but any new construction will also require a permit. So when they get to the stage when they're going to be doing something new, we'll see them again. So when I do send this over, I'll just further confirm that they need to provide us with notification when they're going to be doing something new, and then the committee can review that heritage permit when that comes in.
Okay, thank you. Because, yeah, that was going to be my next question, was now that we've had this conversation with them about permit applications, and if there is going to be something that replaces the garage, I do think it's important that they come through. So I'm glad that you're having those conversations. And I knew that you would. Just worth saying. And then lastly, the photo that you shared with the garage attachment, I was kind of just curious about the brick that you see on the house above it and how it looks like it's different brick. So I don't know if you were able to kind of take a look about like what that means. Was that tell us something else about the garage and about the house construction that we might be able to learn from, and maybe when we think about its heritage attributes. So I was just curious about the bricks that we see.
Through you, Chair. The brick area you're describing is in the bottom picture, kind of just above the garage roof line. Yeah, so when we were updating the designation report for the property, Adolphus Pettit, who renovated the house in, I think, the 1860s and 70s, there was a diary kept of all the alterations that were made to the property. So the diary stated that a summer kitchen addition was added on and renovated on the property, but during staff's analysis of the designation bylaw, we're under the assumption that the summer kitchen on the back of the home was always existing and the second floor was likely added on at that time. Just looking at the brick and material that are on the original front part of the house and the main floor summer kitchen, and then the differences that can be seen in the upper part. But the original window openings that are concealed by the garage addition appear to be within what would have been original masonry from the initial construction. Thank you.
Thank you. I was just curious, noticing those different kinds of bricks, and was wondering the story there. So thank you. Any other questions or comments from committee? Okay, we can move forward then with the resolution. It's a little long, so bear with me here. Resolved that report HR 2520 Heritage Permit Application for 262 Main Street West dated September 9th, 2025 be received, and that the committee recommends that the Heritage Permit for 262 Main Street West be recommended for approval subject to the following terms and conditions. That the materials within the garage, specifically the hand-hewn rafter beams, be salvaged and incorporated into the property or offered to salvage companies to prevent high-quality materials from entering the landfill, and that the garage at 262 Main Street West be photo-documented and copies provided to the Grimsby Historical Society for their archives, and that if required following demolition, that the exterior wall of the building be repaired with the appropriate lime-based mortars. Do I have a mover? Councillor Kristanji. And a seconder? We have Amy. All in favor? Okay, great. That is carried. Thank you, everyone. And moving on to our last report of the night, we have Bianca here again to report on designation plaques.
Thank you, through you, the chair. The purpose of this report is to provide the committee with staff recommendations for the proposed designation plaques for 5/9 recently designated properties. As previously selected by the Grimsby Heritage Advisory Committee, Burlington Signs prepares the designation plaques for the town. And in order to inform the committee's discussion tonight regarding the next set of ordered plaques, we wanted to get some updated costs. So based on the updated costs, the larger plaque, which is 12 inches by 18 inches, will now cost $1,450. And the smaller designation plaque, which is 7 inches by 9 inches, will cost $750. Staff also note that the increase in costs will only enable approximately 5 plaques to be made based on the typical annual budget that we have, which is $7,000. Currently, there are over 30 sites that require designation plaques, with additional designations underway. Based on the updated costs, staff are recommending that the committee and council consider that we use the smaller plaque size as the new standard. And then there'll be an opportunity for property owners to upgrade to the larger size if they want to at their own costs. And so I do have both plaque sizes here for the committee to take a look at. We also provided in the report kind of 2 examples of what the 2 different plaques would look like. And we added some additional ones if we want to consider the smaller size. And then I also wanted to note that we did have the Grimsby Historical Society review our report in the plaques. And so they provided us with some additional information. We kind of talked and we're able to come to some final information on the plaques. So we have an updated slide tonight. And then I also wanted to share that we did have a community member share some feedback on their concerns with one of the plaques. So I did get an opportunity to look at their package. I did hear from the Grimsby Historical Society some of their thoughts. So we're not able to support the date they'd like to see on the plaque just based on our primary sources. So the committee can either decide to go with the date that we have primary sources to support, or we can do no date on the plaque. So that one was for, sorry, do you have the plaque slide? Yeah. Sorry, I just get it up for you guys. That one is for 129 Main Street West. So that's Canterbury Cottage. So we had primary sources to confirm that circa 1852, we know it's there by then. And the alternative date was in the 1830s, but we aren't able to support that date. So it's either we go with this where we have primary sources, circa gives us 10 years either way, or we do no date. So that's that one there. And then if you wanted to scroll out, the other one we want to talk to you about was 34 Mountain Street. So we've been playing with this one a little bit because we do want to mention the fact that it was the first mayor of the amalgamated town of the town of Grimsby. But it's also a lot of text. So that's one of we kind of left it blank in the report because we thought we could talk about it tonight. This is some text we've come up with that the homeowner was supportive of. So that's something to consider. So instead of putting this design of the building, we would be putting this in place. So those are the 2 we wanted to kind of discuss. And then the final dates that are supportable by staff and the Grimsby Historical Society, we're comfortable with them, are on the screen. And then we just put as well in the resolution that if for whatever reason a date needs to be tweaked, but we have primary sources that we'd be able to adjust it for that. And we'll provide the committee with an update. So that's kind of our thoughts on those. And then we'll let you guys kind of discuss sizes we need to know, and then final text.
Thank you for that presentation, Bianca. It's exciting to see this. I feel like this is like the next step in the designation process, right? I see Councilor DeFlavio, you have your hand up, so go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, through you. Have we looked at other suppliers and companies? If you mentioned that, I apologize if I missed it. Just because I know that we went with the Burlington Company for years, but if their prices are not in keeping with, have you looked at other sources? Are the prices pretty much standard? Have we considered other materials? I know that the brass looks really nice, and that's what we've done traditionally, but when we're talking about $1,400 a sign, it's getting to the point of, maybe it's time to reconsider. I would rather have, $2,500 signs than 8 $1,400 signs. So I don't know. I'll let you speak to that. So.
Yeah, so through the chair, when we picked Burlington Signs, that's when we kind of looked at everybody to see their prices, and they were the best one for us. The reason we're continuing with them, and we can take it back and look into it, is we had a die cut, which has our crest. So the town of Grimsby, that's on all of them, we paid extra to have that custom made. So if we want to look somewhere else, I guess question one is, can we take our die with us? Can we buy it out? And then two, I guess we'll talk about the materials we're picking, if we can still use it for that. So yeah, if the committee wants us to go back and look around and get you some more options, then we can do that. I think, yeah, we just kind of want to get your thoughts, and the price is getting up there now, so we have to kind of decide what we're going to do. But yeah, the main thing why we were thinking to stay with them was the die. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we do have to look at other places. There are other brass companies that do this kind of thing, and also look at other materials, because I get that it's custom work and that there is craftsmanship involved in it and all of those things, but we also have to consider, is this a good use of taxpayers' money? And it's getting to a point where, I think that they were, in my first couple of years on council, they were in the 300s, and now we're talking 4 or 5 times that amount, which is, I'm aging myself, and I know that that's a long time ago, but double the price would seem like a lot. We're talking about significantly, like a significant amount more. If the die was cut, did we pay for it? And if we paid for it, do we own it? I mean, was it left there in a custodial sense, like they do the work for us, so you hold on to the die? These are all things that we need to explore, I think. I like the work that they've done. I have no problem with the craftsmanship of it. But in any other project, we would look for 3 quotes. It might be time to do that and say, or maybe reach out to other communities, say, who do you use? Because it might not be well publicized. I know that, city, like places like the city of Toronto, I think do all their own work, for example. Like they have, it's an in-house type thing, but do they subcontract that out? Is that something that we can go to? Anyway, I would like to explore this further before we invest in this. So I'm going to say let's defer it, and let's explore this further as far as costs are concerned, alternative sourcing is concerned, other materials are concerned, before we say yes to the plaques. I'd rather wait and do it right than rush and spend twice as much as we need to spend on this. That's my opinion. So if I get outvoted, that's fine.
Thank you, Councillor DeFlavio, for your comments. My questions were similar. I do think it might be time to explore if there's other people who can produce the plaques. I think it's also worth noting we are designating more buildings now than we were when we first started to work with this company. So we have more designated properties that we want to celebrate with the plaque as well. So I would like to get the plaques up, and if that means that we need to change who our manufacturer and work with someone different, and we want a plaque that has longevity, which is why I think we went with brass, but are there other materials that will allow that too? Those are my questions. The other thing I wanted to bring up in regards to this is looking at different sizes for different buildings. So if this is a big building that's like set back from the road, then maybe we consider a larger plaque, or if it's a smaller building that's kind of close to the road, maybe we consider a smaller plaque, and maybe that also goes into how we determine the sizes of plaques, and that might also help us with costs as well. So we don't have to kind of have the same size plaque for everyone. It's more dependent on the home size and what relation it is to the road, so that we can identify them properly. I don't know if anyone has other comments or questions. Amy, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Chair. First of all, I do like the plaque designs. I think I do like them, but I really think it's worth investigating to find some other sources and get some costs. The other thing into consideration is we're trying to promote heritage and involvement and really celebrate them. And I think that obviously this stands out much more than the other, but then to go to the homeowner and ask for the upgrade, because I think at the end of the day, if I was to make an assumption, I would assume 90% plus would want the larger one, right? And so it's just one more ask of them, and it would be nice to gift them with the full size. And then I think it's also a good dilemma to have. I think it's fantastic that we have 30 odd designations and we have to look into it. But yes, the quality is very good. But yeah, I as much as I would not want to hold up the process, I think this is one instance where I would say let's investigate further. And then just in regards to Canterbury Cottage and the date with the Circa, I personally like the date. I think it's important. I'd rather have it there than have it absent. You do have the 10-year, and I think when people are looking at historic homes, that's the first thing that they look, is they want to date it, right? So to give it some sort of context to draw back to. So that's my comment on that. Sorry, what was that?
Through the chair, I was just going to add one other thing. I did reach out to Burlington Signs to see if they would do any better pricing, because we'd have bulk and they weren't able to really change it much. So that I think that us going back out, that's something else I will ask as well, if they would be better pricing if we do more at one time.
Thank you, Bianca, and thank you, Amy. Any other comments or questions from the committee on this? Yes, Brian, go ahead.
Through you, Chair. On the Canterbury Cottage, you mentioned that the homeowners say 1830s. What is there evidence to support it that they have to put forward? It's just not strong enough, or what's the kind of what's the background behind them believing that it's 1830s?
Yeah. So through the chair. It's a community member that's provided the feedback on it. They're descendant of the original family, which we're grateful for them providing us with the information. So the date that they had, unfortunately, doesn't line up with any records we have. I don't have the 100%, I don't want to say it wrong, but I do have the package that they sent. So what I'm thinking is if we defer and we go back and we go look for all this pricing, I will also circulate the package so everyone can see it. And then what gives us more time to work with the community member, the archives, and the team here, and we can have a good discussion about the date, and then everyone hopefully will get on board with what we move forward with. So I'm happy to circulate that so you have some time to, there's quite a bit of information, so I don't want to summarize it and leave things out. So I will circulate that to the committee as well. And then if we want to defer, it gives us some time to go back out. I agree. If we're okay with the idea of changing this standard, we'll try and get as close as possible. And then I'll find out about the die if we can bring it with us, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
I do think that that's the best way forward, is to defer it, and then that will also give us time, not just with the data around Canterbury Cottage, but making sure that the information on all the plaques is what we want it to be. I think that's important as well, because we want these to last a really long time. So that works. So with that, I'm just going to ask what I do with the resolution. Okay, so based on our conversation, we've rewritten our resolution to defer this report on the designation plaques. So I will read that out. All right, so resolved that report HR 2521 dated September 9th, 2025 regarding the recommended designation plaques design be received, and that the Grimsby Heritage Advisory Committee recommends that staff investigate more materials and cost estimates for the plaque for the committee to consider, and that the date on the plaques be further reviewed in consultation with the Grimsby Historical Society and community members. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor DeFlavio. And a seconder? Councillor Cristangi. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you, everyone. So we will defer the plaque report until we have a bit more information on materials and making sure that we're all in agreement for the dates. Because again, we want these to last. So thank you. We do have a couple announcements for this evening, and these are in regards to, well, first we have our next couple meetings, so I'll go to Bianca to talk about our next meetings.
Thank you, through you, the chair. So I did circulate some options for the October date. I haven't received enough to confirm quorum, so I thought we could secure that date tonight, hopefully. And then I also was just notified that our November meeting would be on Remembrance Day, so we need to move that one as well. So we can either pick the date tonight, or I can circulate everyone an email and they can confirm their availability. I don't want to put you on the spot right now, but maybe what I'll do for both those dates, I'll recirculate it and I'll give you all the options for both dates. And then if you could confirm your availability, that would be great. We just need a couple more to confirm quorum for October. So I think that was just an update since we're all here. Just a reminder for the October date. So as of right now, both of the dates of the current meetings don't work, so we'll have to have new ones. I think Brian wants to say something, and then I'll go to the next announcement.
Through you, Chair. I guess I was showing my itchiness with the button. So October 27th was the date you floated around. There wasn't any other dates, right? For the October one? Oh, maybe that was right. Maybe I'm being selfish there. October 27th. Can we try to lock that one in? Like, can we, we're all here, so if we could lock it in, that'd be awesome. I don't know if anyone has to check outside of here, but I'd love to try and at least lock that one in. And maybe if we do have some November ones, we can take a quick peek and maybe we check on that as well.
Okay, so we're confirming 27th, Monday. A Monday, October 27th for our October meeting in the evening, still 6 p.m.
So through the chair, we've confirmed October 27th for the October meeting. And then I'm going to get back to you guys for November because the community calendar is pretty full. So I'm going to double check with clerks what dates we can take, because I think there's a couple of daytime ones that we probably could still take, but I will circulate that to the committee, but at least we're set for the 27th. And then Councillor DeFabio also mentioned that with the October meeting being so late, we might want to push the November one anyways. So I'll get back to you on that. And then I have a couple more announcements. still through the chair. So I just wanted to share with everyone that there is an open house during the planning committee for the development at Mountain and Elm for the two designated sites. So that's Wednesday, September 17th at 5 o'clock. It'll just be a night to be presented the information of what's happening on the property. And then that site is fully designated, so they'll need heritage permits and everything. So there's a full process that we'll be going through Heritage Committee for that. But this will be an opportunity to see the application and encourage you guys to attend. And then, sorry, just for everyone listening, yes, they asked us to share a copy of the notice, but for everyone else, it's in the paper, it's on the website, and I'll also send you guys a copy of that. But it'll be in this room Wednesday, September 17th at 5 p.m. And then our final announcement is just a reminder, all the property owners, that the grant application intake period is open. And I just wanted to share with the committee that we had 3 people reach out asking to be designated because of all the incentives. So it's definitely being well received by the community. So I thought that was really exciting and something I wanted to share with everyone. So thank you.
That's great. That's really great to hear about the grant program being open and that people are expressing interest. That's what we want. So that's awesome. And definitely would love to see folks out at the open house next week about that development. All right. I think then that is everything for this evening. So thank you all, and we will call this meeting adjourned. Have a great night, everyone. Millions of